Hello and welcome to this little video. Today I'm going to have a little read from one of my shorter works. It's called Bobby Normal and the Virtuous Man. It's that fella there, which is the second in the Bobby Normal series, which is set in the far distant future of Sam Spallucci's world. Post-Divergence, the world's gone to hell, and we're following the adventures of Bobby and his kid sister Katie. But before I carry on with that, please give me a quick like, give me a quick subscribe. That'd be absolutely fantastic. We're going to dive in the story where Bobby and his sister have travelled to the next village, and they're now sat around a meal with the guy who claims to be the Virtuous Man, called Jason, who they found out is a priest of this ancient religion, and he's describing how he's going to lead his little band of followers, who are also sat there, on a mission to destroy some constructs. But as the story progresses, you can see there might be one or two little hiccups, probably pointed out by Katie herself. So here we go. The plan, according to Jason, was simple. Actually, it was so simple that the creations of Kano would never expect it. As the diners continued to eat, he spoke about how the constructs did in truth have a weakness: their physical makeup. As we know, they are made from clay. Kano drew them up from the very ground itself by the use of some arcane magic, which breathed life into their inanimate bodies. So it is that when people have tried to attack the golems in the past, what has happened? Their weapons plunge into the abomination's bodies with no effect, answered the man on the opposite side of the table. Even if you cut off their head, the creature would just grow another, said his wife. It is the same for any of their limbs. They are indestructible. Jason popped some bread into his mouth and chewed it in a thoughtful manner before picking up the plate upon which it had been sat. Clay is a most useful material, is it not? It can be hewn inexpensively from the riverside and moulded or shaped to whatever the potter or craftsperson desires. Look at this plate, for example. It's a simple utilitarian device that is intended for us to eat from our food from. It is made from the same substance as those creatures out there that stalk the land and destroy our families, is it not? There were tentative nods from around the dining table. Yet it is decidedly different in its physical properties. He knocked a knuckle against the plate's surface, creating a dull thunking noise. Why is that? It has been fired, Bobby said. My father took me to a potter once, when I was little. We needed a new water jug. I watched the potter take a tray of identical jugs that he had made from soft clay and place them in an incredibly hot oven. They baked and became hard. I was fascinated. Jason smiled his appreciation. Very good, young one. And did you acquire a jug on your shopping trip that day? Bobby nodded, remembering the day well, walking home with his father, being allowed to carry the bright red jug in his small hands. Yes, we did. My father let me carry it home. It was the most beautiful thing, a vivid scarlet, and its glaze shone brightly in the sun. Ah, I guess your father gave you a very special piece of advice as you carried that jug. A warning, perhaps. Bobby chuckled. Oh, yes, he certainly did. He told me not to drop it. There was an almighty crash as the plate tumbled from Jason's hand and smashed to pieces on the hard floor. Constructs, he growled, are no different to the pottery that we make on a daily basis. In their current state, they are soft, pliable, and able to be repaired. However, if we fire them, we can break them. For too long now, we have cowered in our houses, in our hovels, terrified that the creatures that stalk the highways and byways of our land, not theirs, we have considered them to be superhuman, unstoppable. Yet they are no different to the very plates off which we eat, to the cups from which we drink. I have received word that in a few days' time a party of 3 constructs is due to pass by this village. We are going to lure them into a trap, bake them solid and grind them into dust. We will show the people of this land that the time has come for us to rise up against our oppressor and throw off the shackles into which he bound us, enslaved us. If we destroy his army, then he will be defenseless, and I will be able to walk into his lair unhindered and do what needs to be done. Jason paused, took a moment to compose himself, and continued. This brings me on to the most joyous news, and the reason why we have to strike now. As you know, I am tasked with the mission of slaying the vile Kano, that black dragon, which is why I have journeyed from my own home, a home that was ravaged by his soulless monsters. Well, the last few days have proven to be most auspicious. Just yesterday, I was walking in the old cemetery on the outskirts of the village, taking in the air and searching my soul for answers. I wanted to know how I was supposed to defeat a monster like Canor. As I wandered, I saw a crypt that stood out from the others. It was incredibly plain, but upon its lintel was an emblem that struck me as unusual. It was of a cup and a blade. Bobby's ears pricked up at the reference to the same image that was upon the eternal talisman. As you know, there has long been whisperings of two things known only as eternals, one a cup, one a blade. Things older than time itself, which Canor craves for some mysterious reason, but as yet has been unable to find. So I was drawn to enter this tomb, and inside I found, under a loose slab of stone, a box. Inside was this. In a swift movement, he drew a long knife out from under his cloak and laid it reverentially on the table. It was bright silver in colour, and its blade was wavy in shape. There were gasps of amazement from the rest of the diners. Jason just nodded. I know. I have told you before of the stories I have heard that it is one weapon that can kill Canor, the eternal dagger. It was forged centuries ago by a very wise, holy man who knew that one day the man of virtue would rise to take arms against the Black Dragon. It was imbued with the grace of God himself, giving the virtuous man, me, the ability to end this divergent land in which we live. The table sat in awed silence until Katie swallowed her mouthful of food and said, "It's incredibly shiny. It looks like new, not old." Bobby felt the atmosphere in the room become somewhat awkward, as all eyes turned to his outspoken kid sister. "I had a little spoon once," the girl continued, oblivious to the attention. "Daddy gave it to me. It was made from metal, so he said it was very precious. It was so shiny that I could see my face in it. That's because it was brand new. I can see my face in that shiny knife too. Also, it's a funny looking shape. You couldn't cut anything with it." Ow! She turned and glared at Bobby, who had just kicked her under the table. A deep chuckle came from the head of the table. "From the mouths of babes," Jason smiled. "See how the child recognizes the pureness of the dagger, how it is so different to any other mortal weapon. This is why it will destroy Canor when I plunge it deep into his cancerous heart." "But how will you be able to reach him?" asked the woman sat next to Bobby. "His lair is surrounded by the lake that he created in the middle of Wellington." Jason reached out and laid the eternal talisman on the table. "Because thanks to our young guests here, I now have this. The eternal talisman will bring me safe passage across the lake. All I have to do is to present it to the ferryman, and he will carry me across. As you can see, God has not deserted us. He has provided us with the means to destroy this evil for good. All we need to do now is stack the odds in our favour by thinning Canor's vile army." I hope you enjoyed that. So just a little extract. There's more details about my books over aschambers.co.uk. But again, please, if you give me a quick like, a little subscribe would be fantastic too. Take care. Keep looking for what lurks in the shadows. Bye-bye now.